Hello there. I got a chance to experiment with the SceneGate browser, and I thought I'll just capture the interaction and share my views about this new browser. It came out yesterday, and it's available at the virtual outworlding blogspot.com. Okay, and I'll include the URL in the description, and you can visit the site and download the application. Right now I see there is a Windows version of this browser, and I'm not sure they say whether they'll have a Mac version or a Linux version soon. But if you want to experiment with the SceneGate browser, there is already a Windows version here that you can try. And so let's get to it. I am logged into the SceneGate browser, and the first thing I notice is the first person default camera position, and I think that's quite interesting. I like the position and orientation of the camera, and it's at the right height, and it really gives a fairly modern look rather than the default Second Life camera, which is somewhere here, and that's not very, very pleasing to most people. And I think it works well when you're in a building and you're walking upstairs, and so it really gives a more natural look and feel. And it also looks more contemporary to how other gaming environments do it. So I think in that regard, I really like the default camera position. And the SceneGate browser has been designed for non-builders in mind. So as you can see, if I go outside and try to create something, the menus won't be available, which makes good sense. And but this doesn't stop you from interacting with the scripted objects in your environment, of course. So, for example, here I can still log into the various applications in this environment, and everything pretty much work as you would expect as an end user. So let's clear this. I'm going to test the loading and get a sense of the speed of things. I do find that the rendering is a little bit faster, probably because the default settings. If we can check that, yes, you can see the default settings here, and the distance is 128 meters. So that would explain why it feels a little bit faster on my machine, because normally I have my settings on ultra. Okay. So if I log out and log back in, and let me try to see here. Yeah, so things, are pretty fast and slick. So let me just walk down these stairs and check other things. Like I said, it's not designed for users who want to create objects and stuff, because normally if you right click you would be having access to edit tools and you can actually create your objects in the scene. Okay. So let's do this here. You can create things in the environment using the SceneGate browser if you have applications inside the environment that does that. So for example, I can create a cube here and here, so you can still create stuff, but you'll have to do it through an application. The nice thing with this is that it separates the end user functions from the designer functions, which is good. It kind of streamlines the interface. So you can see that the number of buttons are restricted as well. So you have a map and the landmarks, places. You still have access to the inventory. So I'm thinking how this would be used. So you can drag and drop objects into the environment, but once you drop the objects into the environment, you won't be able to move them because you don't have access to editor tools. Okay, so let's try that. So if I were to maybe drag a little application here, so I have this here, and I won't be able to move it, I guess, because you don't have the viewer editor menu, and that's by design, and that's perfectly fine. The one thing you will notice here is that you've got a minimal menu with a zoom in and sit here and touch. So I suppose zoom in is going to work for any object in the scene, which is interesting. I don't quite know how this works for large objects or large linked objects. It probably works for not sure how it works. Let me find an object where this would work, because normally if you have a group of objects linked together, so it will consider this as one object and it will bring the camera close to that link set, but not to the individual objects. So let's see what happens if I do this. It kind of centers the object in the scene. That can be useful. Okay, so let me clear this here. Just one sec. I'm going to clear these two blocks and maybe load this file here. So let me just turn around. Just wanted to have a snapshot here, like for the thumbnail of this video clip. So I'll just do that. I am going to clear this scene and we'll check the other things. So let me log out. So I think the camera helping tools kind of... Do we have camera helping tools, first of all? Okay, that's actually not part of this viewer. Oh, is it? Ah, here it is. Okay, we do have you know, the manual camera control here. So that's interesting. Good. With our tools, though, if I may show you this, you can actually, you know, have the ability to look at different objects that you're interested in just by clicking and at the various you know, specific objects in the scene. So that kind of makes it a good complementary. It offers complementary functions to the browser, so that kind of works well for us. So that's interesting. Okay. Let me check the seating here. So if I were to use this one and I see a chair, and if I were to use this browser, I'm going to right click and, oh yeah, it's because you can't do the, you know, the sit here thing with our setup, which is kind of different, but that's alright. Okay. So let me just stand up. So overall, it really feels nice, and I can see what the designers had in mind when they created this this browser, and I am a fan. So. And I do see that it is going to be useful for, you know, especially in the education setting. All right, so I'm going to stop this evaluation here. Thanks for your attention.